People, hello. You join me very comfortably sat in the podcast studio. Don't worry, these are shorts, not boxers. Anyway, how are we all doing today? 16 people in chat, like the video. Thank you. Repty Chat did a spooky podcast in his voice. Feel free to go and check it out. And the elephant in the room. I got engaged. Yay. Yeah, I know, Bam. That's literally what I thought as well. Wait, what? So, hello, Mike. I saw your comment, good as Cresties, that I have stolen Fee forever. Her voice is mine. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I will let you know in years to come. But anyway, let's go through this quickly and we're going to get into this podcast. Thank you very much, Gary. I haven't got back to anyone who commented on my post yet, obviously using it for likes. And speaking of, here he is himself, the like core. There goes my monetization. Anyway, how are we all doing? Hello, Dan. Thank you for tuning in. Here she is. Getting married, gang. Can't relate. Hello, Touch. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for tuning in. I'm just going through this quickly. Hello, Rick. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. How you doing? Is there anything I need to come on? Hello, Frizy. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. The two lovebirds. I won't go that far, mate. How are you all doing? How we doing? I'm just going through this. Hello, Reese. Long time no see. Long time no. Hello, Mr. Scandinavian Guanas. Hope you're okay. How are you doing? Oh, God. I will upload a story on my brevies again today. Gonna style just anyway, anytime. Old Frysy's brevies are reading the Kama Sutra. For those who don't know, go over and check it out if you're into that kind of stuff. Hello, Logan. How you doing, my friend? BH is here for a good time, as he always is. Sprawled out. Yeah, we're man spread today. I was just like, where's my better half? She's downstairs probably watching this. This, to be fair, this probably would have made sense to have as the couple relationship, but it's not. I've got the boys on instead. Anyway, congratulations, Paul. I feel like I'm being judged. So thank you very much. Hello, fake fan. Where are we at? Hello, Donald person. No, you won't be able to buy anything anymore. Your wife will want your money to spend it on other things. Well, Donald. Luckily for me, Fee is incredibly supportive and she buys me lizards. So that's why I decided to put a ring on it. What's going on? Hello, Amy. What's going on? I was a crack-a-lacking. Right, okay, we're through everything. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way. Hello, Brad. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. How are we doing? Let's get the housekeeping out of the way and let's get into this podcast. So let's start off with the Bug Factory. Shout out to the Bug Factory. If you guys use pools-monitors-5 at checkout on your first order of live food, you'll get a 5% discount on already what I found the cheapest live food online. If you find cheaper, let me know, but I haven't seen cheaper, as well as sustainably growing mealworms. I'm back on using them nowadays since I have the toadheads, and the toadheads love eating the mealworm beetles. So I'm back on the grind of trying to grow mealworms, even though I fail, even though the Bug Factory's product is amazing. Next. I think I do a good job of selling it. Next, shout out to you guys. I feel like I'm shouting, but anyway, if you want to support me that little bit more than just a like, a comment, and a follow, then consider joining the Patreon. You get entrance to the private Discord where there's some super secret stuff, which we may or may not be discussing today over there. Yeah, every tier has the exact same rewards if you want to support me that little bit more and keep the lights on over here, and also pay for my fiance's demands, because she's going to take all of my money and spend it on things that she wants, not lizards, then please consider joining the Patreon. Now that's out of the way. Let's get through the last final comments and we're going to get this podcast on the roll. So you're saying to get a ring, I need to buy Reese lizards. I'm not saying not, but it did help. It did help. It is not secret to you, Frizy, because you are special and I send you things. I don't know if you know about the other thing, actually. I think you do. I don't know. I forget. Anyway, let's get the podcast on the going. 29 people in chat. Thank you very much. Like the video. Of course, we have Mr. Matt.
Evening.
And Mr. Michael.
Hello.
Hello.
You're right.
Right, I'm right. How are you doing? We'll start with, because it's going to get chaotic as it always does. Start with Michael. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Busy today. Just recorded another podcast earlier this morning. So, yeah, 2 in one day. It's quite exciting. Other than that, not too much.
Hello. Thank you for joining in, Aussie Herp, and thank you very much for the congratulations. And secret to you, possibly Repty Chat, maybe you don't know. And hello, Matt. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. I apologise in advance for this cricket. It will not stop.
It's the same one as last time.
Yeah. Can you hear it?
I'm just picking it up through headphones, but that's with me turning my laptop right up.
It's pretty loud here. Yeah, no, I'm not too bad, thanks. I had a busy day picking out eggs, which is always good.
Congratulations on the eggs.
Which is good, but yeah, no, otherwise not been a busy weekend, which is nice. No work, which is always a bonus.
Nice. I haven't prepared any quickfire questions because, to be honest, I got in at like 6:30 and I had to change all my waters and deal with all my lizards. So there are no quickfire questions. And if Fee, you want to put 2 animals in the chat and put either Matt and Michael, feel free, but I haven't asked her. Hello, Rick. Thank you for tuning in. So let's just start off where we're out of things at the minute, because Michael is on a crazy endeavor because he's a lunatic. So let's start with you, Michael, with where you're at, where your hobby is at the minute.
When did we last record one?
I think you just got the trio, but you were like, ooh. I think that was our last.
So last time I was on here, I was just getting the trio. Did I just have the trio?
I think you were within the week of getting them or had them. I think you'd only just got them or just had them.
Yeah, so I picked up the trio of Timor monitors, Varanus timorensis. Have been very religiously trying to find out more information about them because there is a lot of misinformation, mislabeling, a lot of tricky information about the species in the UK in the last couple of years. So have been, dealing with those. Then went to IHS in September with you guys, which was lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've picked up a very, very special tree monitor and a Chihuahua gecko, which, random, but that's been the only new addition so far. So it's been quite exciting. Working with Wogs, the green tree has been fantastic. It's been really an eye opener and I got to see Riddler again. Yeah. And Dan was there. And that was cool to see Dan. It was nice meeting Dan.
Dan came and actually spent the night, and like some people.
Yeah. Some people are part-time friends. Other people are true friends.
Fake fans.
But no, I had a really good weekend. I had lots of fun. The show was hectic, to say the least. But it was nice to chill out with you guys for a little bit. The night before was good. Get a chat with a few people that I'd met previously at AHH, which was nice as well. So all good. Looking forward to a few more shows next year as well.
Nice. So we'll get more into that in a minute. And Matt, where are you? Where are you with things? How's your hobby since the last 2 months?
So I don't think I've got anything new since then, have I? As far as I'm trying to do the opposite and cut down.
What you picked up
miserably.
What you picked up at the show.
So the wall lizards, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be a project next year. So it'll be the first animal that I'm keeping outside. Fingers crossed, all going well. And then hopefully try and get a snake, but I don't think that's going to happen to keep outside. And then, did I have the yellows last time?
I don't think you did.
No.
Was that after the show? I forget when it was.
It was definitely after the last podcast.
So I've picked up a pair of yellows, which will, what are they now? Probably 6-7 months old. And then hopefully plan to get some unrelated blood early next year, sort of January, hopefully all things being well. But my job at the minute is trying to cut down a little bit, and I'm not doing very well at trying to decide what may or may not need to go. And that is the crossroads I'm currently at.
And where you're going to send them?
They don't like cold weather, is what they told me.
Yeah, they're the tropical species, Michael. Yeah, I'm
very humid.
Very humid.
We get a lot of rain.
Yeah, but the barometric pressure will be next level. Where am I? Similar to Matt, really. Downsizing, but buying more animals. I mean, I'm on here every week, but since the last Monitor Dreams, I got a bunch of stuff. Toadheads, Stenodactylus, binos, female knobtail, some new monitors. Yeah, I think that's about it for me. And I don't know where I want to go. I don't know if I'm contemplating the idea of becoming like, because I class myself as a keeper, but I'm kind of liking the idea of becoming a breeder, even though I obviously already breed, but I'm liking the idea of actually like being a breeder. But I'm not sure what's going to be my keystone species. And it's, for me, it's at the minute, do I just want pairs of stuff, or do I just want to go like 3 or 4 species and just go narrow in? That's all I'm going to keep. That's all I'm going to focus on, and maybe have like 1 or 2 little side projects, as it were. But yeah, I don't know. And that's sort of where I'm at, to be honest.
Undecided as usual.
Yeah, it'll change tomorrow. So who even knows with me anymore? But yeah, and someone has, I mean, should we get into this sort of now? Because it kind of does touch on where I might be going with my collection. Or do we get into this later? I don't mind. We can start with this. Get it out the way.
Yeah, on you go.
Go on then, crack on.
So, for people that don't know,
is Chris in chat? No.
He's off in a faraway land.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
And hopefully he's taking pictures, and I'll get him to come on again, and we can do a slideshow. But anyway, so people that don't know, on Friday, an import.
Thursday? Friday and Saturday.
Oh man.
Thursday, Friday.
What? Anyway, as in when it came in?
Yeah, in the last few days, an Indonesian import has come into the UK. So we have a bunch of new fresh blood for Prasinus, Beckerai, Rosingeri, Beckerai. Yeah,
Beckerai.
That's what I meant. And now we have a sought after pair of Cordensis, as well as a few crocs, a few rudicolus, Celebensis.
Snakes as well, but we don't talk about them.
Yeah, snakes and other boring stuff, like Bodens, pythons, but who cares about that?
Green trees.
Yeah, so this import's come in, and some of the animals that have come in on the import are relatively large, adult, captive bred, I've got captive farmed, but anyway. And yeah, Slytherin Reptiles in the UK, shout out Slytherin. They have a pair of Macraei, as well as a bunch of other shops in the UK currently have Prasinus, Macraei, Beckerai, a few other bits and bobs. Now, my brain, as soon as this import came in, went, ooh, Sarong female for Kermit. Ooh, completely fresh bloodline, Beckerai. But obviously, I can't afford it. So this is just all dreams, because at the minute, I can't afford it. But then it did kind of make me think, because that's one of the first things that popped into my brain. Where do I want my collection to go? And then we'll go to Matt first, because obviously you keep and collect tree monitors, and you almost got the gauntlet. So what was like your first thoughts and feelings to the import that's come in?
Buy the Cordos.
Sell everything.
No. Originally, because there were rumours about it coming in for some time, and when I say some time, probably 2 months.
Yeah, been under the radar.
So I think it was before the show, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's been on the radar for a while, and It wasn't. Then it was just going to be Prasinus coming in, and then it was suddenly going to be Prasinus, Beckerai, Razingeri, and McCrae, and then they arrived, and there was a pair of Cordos as well. So my initial thought was just buy them until I found out how much they were.
Yeah.
And then I massively backtracked. But no, it's really difficult because I'm, as I said earlier, in this process of trying to slim down a bit and try and reduce the amount of animals I've got. And then as soon as the input came in, I went, actually, I could get one of them. I'll have one of them. I could swap some in for that. And then you just end up taking one step forward and two steps back. And I could quite easily try and trade stuff for new bloodlines of other tree monitors. But I think realistically, long term, I'm never going to be able to house everything. Even as we are, I think I'm going to struggle with what I've got. So adding something else to the mix is just going to complicate things.
And what was your thoughts and feelings, Michael? Because you're obviously after a specific animal.
Yeah.
What's your opinion for this import coming in?
So I was excited to see it. I was excited to see what animals came in, but then the chances of something for me coming in was going to be quite slim because I'm looking for a very specific female Maruki Prasinus. So the chances of that coming were quite slim. So I wasn't that. Whereas like you and Mark are like, oh my god, like I can get this, I can get that, and for me it's more like this is cool. I know there's a lot of chatter, a lot of talk, a lot of debate about whether they should have came in, how they came in, etc., etc., etc. But for me, it's more what we do with them now that they are here. And I think that's the important thing, is that should they be here? Shouldn't they be here? Why are they here? How they got here and stuff. It's all good questions. It's all relevant questions, but I don't particularly care.
Give me the tree monitors.
It's more the fact that they're here now. It's good for our hobby that they are here now if they go into the right hands and the correct things are done with them. And that's my thoughts and feelings around it. If these animals are going to be treated like shit, half of them are going to die within 6 months, and then they all get sold to pet-only homes, then what was the point? Whereas if these animals can be rehabilitated well into captivity, are able to thrive in our caring conditions, and they're given to people that are going to make the best use of this fresh blood, then I can only see it as a benefit. And for a hobby as niche as the tree monitor keeper market is, it's a refreshing sight to see fresh blood, especially for some of these animals that there hasn't been. So yeah, I'm kind of looking at it as the positives rather than trying to get into the political or ethical debates around it. I'd start getting a bit iffy and a bit upset and a bit annoyed if these animals aren't best utilized, I think would be my way of putting it. But I'm not in a position to utilize them myself, so who am I to say? But yeah. I really hope that whoever gets them, because they are stunning animals, and I know like there's always queries when imports come in about how they're going to be, what kind of health they're going to be in, etc., etc. And by all means, from what I've seen of the animals that are on show and on display, and photos I've seen of the animals in import, they look good. They look really good.
Yeah, I saw some today. So hang on, let me double check who's just said it, because I'm going to forget and I'm going to be a twat. Josh. Yeah, Baden's Prasinus and Baden's McCrae obviously aren't the only ones that are here. There's a few shops that have a few bits, and I was shopping around a few shops today, and I saw quite a few. I saw some Rizingeri, some Prasinus, some McCrae. I saw the Cordos. Didn't see any Beckerai. Saw a tail. Saw some Rudicolis. Saw one of the Salvadori. Oh yeah, Croc Monos came in. And everything that I saw, at least with my own eyes, that I saw, other than a little bit of dehydration, looked fine. Look, the baby rudicolas look perfect. So yeah, it's going to be a case the same as the Indicus with the rudicolis, with the celebensis, with those sorts of bits that people are just going to buy them as pets, and that's going to be that. And that's a shame in its own right. But again, it's your hobby. I can't tell you to do anything with it. Someone in this chat should have got rudicolis, but
someone really needs to champion that species and put their best rack forward.
I think
100%.
what would be better is to get a blue tongue skink and a rainbow boa and a few other bits and bobs. But anyway, the tree monitors are a different ball game because they are expensive, and tree monitor keepers aren't scared to spend the money because obviously outside of like keeper, so you got keepers like myself where I'm not in a position to breed yet. So obviously the money's coming out of my pocket, and you get to a place where you're breeding tree monitors, and then you all of a sudden have tree monitor money. So you can use the tree monitor money to put into tree monitors. So there are some people in a position where they have to find the money. I think everyone has to find the money, you know what I mean? Like regardless. But there are some people that have it put aside, or they've got just hatched a clutch, or whatever the case is. Like once all my gill and I sell, I could buy one of anything of the import. And it's just like...
Not the Cardos.
No, I couldn't buy the Cordos. I could buy one of them. I could buy the male. Obviously, it wouldn't be for sale, but I reckon I could buy the male. So it's like, okay, do I pick up a Beckerai and then go into Beckerai because I already have a pair of Prasinus, or do I get a nice sarong and then just have a revolving trio with Kermit? And it's like, there's a few other species that I currently keep, Jobiensis, which I would also like to get a boyfriend for. And then we get back to sort of where Matt is. It's like, well, I want to downsize. And all of a sudden, I've just thought about introducing 3 more big lizards there. So it's like, I don't know where to go from there. And as you were saying, Matt, we'll go to you. You obviously were like, oh, I'm going to downsize. Then you see these Cordensis. You're like, okay, I want the Cordos.
Mm. And I was contemplating selling a few animals to get them, but then they're stupid money. As much as I would like them, they are a huge gamble at the price they are, and I currently don't see them at that price. I'm sure someone will buy them at that price. I've got no. So I'm sure we're allowed to say they're at Ridgway's.
Just say I saw him, yeah. And hang on, I need to see if they're strip Marook. They're definitely Cordos. They're not Marooks. And every Prasinus I saw was Sarong. Yeah. I've not seen any Marooks come in. So, but they are at Ridgway's. They're out on the shop front in, Ridgway Exotics. So, but yeah, it's a hard one to know what to do and where to go because you almost have to pick. For example, Matt, you'd have to pick 2 tree monitor species to focus on to breed, and then just have like 1 or 2 as pets. And do you do that, or do you just have a pair of everything and then that's all you have? It's hard to know what to do.
I think from my point of view, I'm trying to slim more and more down into just focusing on tree monitors because actually it doesn't take that long, but everything soon adds up. So the fact that you have to give the veg every night to the monkey tail, fine, doesn't take that long. But then you have to make the gecko diet for the chihuahuas again. Okay, that doesn't take too long. And then it just all soon just starts to add up. And actually, if it was just tree monitors, I think it would make my life much, much easier, which is hopefully the long-term plan. Eventually.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see any GTP, so no idea.
There's on the lists I've seen. There's been no mention of Maruki because I looked at that. I looked through the green tree list. To see if it was possible that something was collected in Maruki. I mean, farmed in Maruki.
I don't think any. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think any.
No, nothing. There was no mention of that. It was all Sarong and Aru.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then somewhere else, but no.
Where do you see these import lists? What import lists?
They
Don't know what
never.
you're on about, Ben.
What import lists? So yeah, I guess to you, Michael, because you've always been, and I know your mindset's slowly shifting now from private conversations, but you've always been diversity is the spice of life, and you like having little bits and bobs to tinker with. And whereas me and Matt like simplistic care, these are all the same, these are all the same. But now I'm starting to go a little bit more diverse in my keeping. And I'm kind of regretting it. But anyway, on a counter argument, and then maybe even a positive towards Matt's point of streamlining to just being a Prasina's complex keeper. Like, where's your mind at with your hobby with that? Because like I say, I know you like diversity in your personal collection.
So I enjoy the diversity that I've got. I don't know how much more diverse I would like to go. I've got groups of animals. So I've got my dragons, my agamids, I've got my geckos, and then I've got my monitors. The only things that don't fit in really are the snakes, the ball pythons, and then the pink tongue skinks. But they were, for me, my collection's almost half down the middle of my pets that I got before I was too serious into it, and then my projects which I've purposely got because I want to reproduce. So there's animals like my crested gecko, my leopard gecko, my bearded dragon, my original ball python that are pets that they're very not. You wouldn't want to breed from them. You would be getting pet quality animals. You'd be getting animals that are already going into an oversaturated market, and other than knowing people locally that would enjoy these animals, there wouldn't be a need. I'm also in a different position from you guys, that I'm a lot further north, and there is nobody doing reptiles up here. And there's no shops. There's one really, really shit shop, but other than that, there's no shops. So I could get away with a clutch of leopard geckos, a clutch of crested geckos. I would be able to. It would be a lot of work. It wouldn't be worth it financially, because the amount of time that you'd have to put in helping a small child and their parents who know nothing about reptiles to set up an enclosure and going through all the care and being there for every question once a week, why it's not eating, stuff like that. It would be time consuming. I would think I would enjoy it. I think it would snowball too quickly. So that's like my pet animals, and those are animals that take up space. That, do I regret buying them? No. If I could buy them again, would I? Probably not. And that's kind of where I'm at with those. And then I've got my animals that are like my project animals, like my Timors and my Kimberleys and my frilled dragons, even stuff. I got a Leachianus. I knew I was going to buy a baby Leachianus. I knew I was going to raise it up to sex it, and then I knew I was going to have to try and find the opposite sex eventually, because that's what I wanted. So stuff like that. I think that's more how I split my room rather than in areas. But I do enjoy the fact that I'll finish this tonight. I'll go into my room. All my lights will be off, but I can muck around with my geckos, or my snakes will be out. When all the monitors are tucked up in bed, these things are out and about. But I'm with Matt that when I only had one New Caledonia gecko, the idea of mixing up crested gecko diet for it, I was just like, oh man, like that couple of minutes that it takes just felt like forever. And you almost, like, there was some days I was like, oh, it'll be fine. Like, I fed it yesterday. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, you start, whereas now I've got quite a few New Caledonian geckos, I've always got a bottle of food mixed up in the fridge ready. So I feed them a lot more. Like, my care is almost better for these animals because I've got more of them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I found that when I used to keep Cresties and Chihuahuas and Gargs and bits and bobs, I found the more that I got, the easier it became.
Yeah.
On that thing, because obviously, Matt, recently you moved on your geckos and you're just streamlining now.
Yeah.
Outside of temperatures, obviously your room getting too hot and bits and bobs, do you regret those decisions, or do you think, obviously I'm not saying are you sad, because of course you are, but do you do you regret those decisions, or do you think they were generally the best decisions to make?
So I think it made sense. Like the decision, it wasn't an easy decision in one aspect, because actually I didn't realistically. There was quite a few geckos that I really didn't want to get rid of, but it made no sense to keep one or two just because I've got nowhere to keep them. I'd have to keep them elsewhere, and equally then it'd mean heating them somewhere else. Whereas actually moving them on, it just made sense. Like, it's just so much easier now. All the tanks at the top are now empty, and they will be going for smaller baby monitor vivs. And it just, I came home, I was going to work when we had that heat wave. I can't remember when it was now, in the summer. And you had the same problem as me, but I'd go to work and I'd literally have one of those little Govies in, and it would start hitting 33, 34. And then I'd be panicking, coming home early, trying to open all the windows up and I was just like, this just isn't worth it. So I had to move them on, unfortunately, which I do regret, but it had to be done, really.
Yeah, because I'm kind of contemplating a few bits in my room that I'm like, for the greater good of my room, is it worth me moving them on? And obviously I've moved on a few bits before. Moved on some Kimberleys, I moved on the Tristus, I've obviously moved on the Timors. Come back to bite me in the arse, but I've moved on to Timors. And only thing that I actually do generally regret was the Tristus, and I generally miss the Tristus. So I'm like, okay, do I free up space and time for Tristus again? Because I know that there are species that I enjoyed. Or again, do I endeavor into these Beccari, these black trees that I know I will enjoy because I adore my Prasinus? Or do I just hold tight to my guns and then get a Jobiensis if a male comes up for Toad? But then, me and you have spoken a lot about this, Matt. At the minute, I've just hatched 15 Gillini, 10 baby Ackies. I have 6 Gillini due, and I have 18 Ackies due. Plus, I've just got 3 more baby monitors. Plus, I have a couple of other bits and bobs due. Plus, my Ackies are going to probably breed again anytime soon. Same as the Gillini coming into spring. Same as probably some geckos. And all of a sudden, you're overrun with these baby monitors, these baby animals. And it's like, okay, where do I put them all? I find space for them all, but then something else breeds. And it's like, okay, where do I put it all? And my Bosk monitor, I adore Bumpy. She's great. But that space that Bumpy's in, I could fit all of the baby Audacio in. And it's like, okay, where is this line drawn? And I want to hold back an entire clutch of Gillini, which I can easily do for 6 months to a year. But if all of a sudden everything else starts breeding, it's like, where is this line drawn? And I think that's another more so another reason to make sure that you streamline. But yet, for some reason, I always just want more. All right, I'll just see if there's anything in the chat.
I did see that Riddler mentioned about moving to Scotland. I think if Riddler went to Scotland, Michael would move down south.
I'll come up for you, Matt.
People are happy to help me move on my collection, but the animals I would move on, pretty much no one would want. It's not like I'm going to go, right, okay, the tree monitors are gone. Like, they're top of the tree. I cut back to a single pair. I got back to a single pair of blue trees and a pair of rough scale pythons, and I'm happy for doing so. Like, I'll be honest with you, Stuart. Sometimes I look at Mango's enclosure, and obviously it's a 6x4x6, and I've just chucked a load of bamboo in there recently, so it looks pretty cool. And I'm like, if I just did Prasinus, Indicus, and Gillini, and that's all I kept, and I had a pair of Indicus or a 1.2, and I had a 1.2 of Prasinus, and again these big style vivs, and then I just had like 2.4 Gillini in 2 vivs, and that's all I had. I'd have space for my babies, I'd have space for other bits, everything would be in big enclosures. And I look at that sometimes and I think to myself, why the fuck am I not doing it? Like, why am I being a twat and going, right, toad-headed agamets, which are also one of the sickest lizards I've ever owned. Which is
because you'll still be happy. It's because you'll still be miserable.
Oh, mate, I'm never happy.
That's it. Like,
Have you looked at Wayne's stuff? That guy on Facebook, the guy that keeps a pair of blue trees. Well, yeah. Every time I look and I think, oh, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, mate. He keeps for people that don't know, he's got a massive enclosure with a pipe that goes through to outside, and he's got a massive aviary outside as well.
Because what is it 8x4, 7 inside?
It's massive inside. Like that. Yeah, something silly like that. And then again, me and Michael have been speaking about this recently. I do want to start streamlining into being a bit of a breeder, and regardless of my numbers or whatever, but I don't want to cut corners when I get to the point of being a breeder. I still want to raise everything under halogen, UVB, and LEDs because that is very important to me. So obviously, when you start increasing your production, your overheads obviously increase, and then you've got to start making money because you're now not just being a hobbyist breeder, you are starting to breed. And then all of a sudden you need all this space and you need this time and this energy. And I know me and you have been speaking about this, Michael, in the sense of looking to breed. And I guess my question to you then on that is, are you happy? Let's just say a 1 to 2 year term, if you could sort of look into the future, would you be happy just pairing what you've got up? Or would you rather do, like I said, have your group of Marukis, if it was obviously possible, a group of Kims, a group of Timors, and then just streamline? Or would you still be happy just having flavor here, flavor there, flavor here, flavor there?
So at the moment, I still need a female Persinus, a female Leachianus, and then whatever my Kimberleys need. I've currently got 2 baby Kimberley Rock monitors. So whatever they might be, by the time I get a pair from them, once they're done, that'll be me having a pair or a trio of everything in my room, bar the leopard gecko, crested gecko, bearded dragon, and the Chihuahua, because I forgot about the Chihuahua. I would be happy then if I was able to go through a breeding season a year and I had frill dragonet, not all at once and not all in the same year, because
when it's all at once, that's when it gets I've got at the minute 4 clutches at once hatched within 2 days. I was like,
if I had the possibility to hatch or to choose or whatever, green tree monitors, Kimberley Rock monitors, Timorensis monitors, Aki monitors, frill dragons, pink tongue skinks, Leachianus geckos.
That's busy, man.
That's busy, and that's a good selection. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the way my room's going. I do look at other things. There's a few things in the pipeline, a few projects being talked about and mentioned that I like the sound of and I would like to get involved with. But if all else fails, the bare minimum I want would be to finish off the pairings that I've got. Once that's done, I would be content. Happy, no. There's always a few things that you want to add. A few other monitor species that I quite like the look of. A few that aren't. A few. Well, yeah, all the ones Matt's got, and then all the ones that aren't in the UK. But yeah. This space behind me, this is going to be my future yellow tree monitor. Yeah. Eventually, the fish tank's going to go, and that'll be floor to ceiling. It's 6 foot long, 5.5 feet long, and then ceiling, and then however deep. Well, I wasn't going to say it, Riddler.
No one wants you to Hilbara.
I'm just going to bring this up so I don't lose it because it's further up. I want to touch back onto that question.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, carry on. So that's your yellow tree.
But then, I wouldn't want to cut corners. I wouldn't want to diminish my care. And I've always said that I would like to be at least above average, i.e. whatever the minimum care standards are, I would like to be above that. If I can reach those and still have pairs and groups of what I'm keeping, then for me as a keeper, I'm happy with that. I may not be in this house forever. There may be a time that I've got more space to to extend further, but it's a tricky one because I've had it before when I first bred my pink tongue skinks a few years ago now. And I always thought, I was like, first baby I get, I'm going to keep. There's no way I'm going to have a baby lizard that I've produced, that I've brought into this world, that I've raised from live born, because the skinks don't lay eggs. And there's no way I'm gonna be able to let that animal go. And then I remember I had my hold back. It was fantastic. That animal was great. And I remember looking at it going, I don't want to set up another enclosure. Like, to be able to dedicate 2 tanks. Now I've got spare empty tanks for when I've got, because obviously I've got pairs, I've got trios, I need to separate. I've got vivs and tanks that are empty for when babies come along. But to have a tank dedicated for another adult of that species, it wasn't right for me at that time. And also, I believe that these animals live for they live a long time. The idea of, I need to have my pair's great grandchildren. I really enjoy my pink tongue skinks. I think they're fantastic. If they live for another 15 years and then pass away, I feel like I'd probably be done with the species.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't think I'd be rushing out to be like, I need to keep the babies because I need to keep this line going. I need to I think I would get to a stage where I'm like, right, I'm happy, not almost full circle keeping, but full circle keeping of a lifetime.
I feel the same with my Ackies. I don't want to keep any babies from my Ackies. I never want to sell my pair, but once my pair have lived out their 30 years or however long they're going to live, I think that will be me done for at least a good while with Ackies. So I know what you mean.
It's like my pet animals, like my bearded dragon, who was the first species I ever kept, second individual reptile I ever kept. I've still got him in my room. When he passes away, I'm not going to get rid of him But when he passes on, I'm not going to miss having a bearded dragon. I'm not going to run out and get another bearded dragon. Same with the leopard gecko.
On this question on the screen, I'm going to go to Matt. What's the difference to a hobby keeper that breeds and becoming a breeder? Are you wanting to wholesale? So also, me and Michael, I think you brought it up on a podcast, Michael. Maybe you brought it up on True Tales, where you're basically saying, correct me how I phrase it, using animals for profit, making profit from animals or something like that point.
So, yeah, my comment was more, we almost frown upon people making profit, making money. But when you're a breeder and you've got a wage that you need to pay. I think that would be the when you're classing yourself as a full-time breeder, you've got bills to pay. You don't have a full-time job. You don't have income coming from elsewhere that's going to pay your mortgage and your rent and your electricity bills. And I think that when you become the breeder, you need to guarantee that income. And though reptiles are seasonal, some are anyway. Some months you might make a lot of money, some months you might make barely anything. But if you look at it annually, if you're not making your annual quota for what you do in a full-time job as a breeder, then you need to look elsewhere for income. And I think that's where that's when you start needing to cut corners. You need to get that extra pair, you need to get that extra project in, right? How am I going to squeeze it into my space? If I don't have LEDs, then I don't need as much electricity. I can cut my overheads that way. Whereas when you're a hobbyist that breeds, you're producing animals, but you're producing them from animals that you keep because you enjoy them as well. But you're producing them, and when they breed, it's fantastic, it's great. I've built most of my collection off of breeding animals. But is that me profiting from my animals? Yes. Am I making any financial gain from it? No.
So if I worked, we're going to jump up to you in a second, Matt. So if I worked full-time, 40 hours a week, but also produced 25 grams worth of animals each year, am I still a hobbyist or am I a breeder?
Well, then you're breeding out.
Yeah, if you turn over 25 grand a year, you're you're regardless if you got a full-time job or not, you're
That's a lot of royals.
Yeah, that's a lot of royals. That's a lot of morning geckos. That's for sure. We'll jump.
Yeah,
to
me
Matt.
2 seconds. I'm gonna sort the cat out.
Yeah, no stress, mate. We'll jump to Matt because obviously you.
I think Ben, I think you've made a mistake selling your royals if you're making 25 grand a year.
So you're breeding obviously Pracinas, and you're not a breeder. You're a hobbyist breeder. You keep your Pracinas. You got them because you like them and they breed. You're hoping to breed other species in the future.
Yeah.
So where do you sit on the line of where you define yourself, and then also, let's just say for the sake of this story, making profit from your pets. So let's just call it that from that. Where do you sit on that kind of line?
So I don't think there's a clear-cut answer. So if you look at what the guidance, it says if you take £1,000 in a year, then you are technically a breeder. Which, if you say that, pretty much the majority of people, I would say, doesn't take much to clutch your royals or whatever you breed. There's a reasonable number of people that are going to be hitting over that. Then becomes grey because then some people say, well, if you don't turn a profit, and then it was like, well, how do you define turn a profit? Is that if you, like, I'll be honest, some of the money that I've made or swapped, I've just basically put it all back into building vivs. A lot of my animals have been swapped for vivs or swapped for other animals. But then it's a very fine line. And I'll be brutally honest. If, say, next year, if things go really well, then I will probably set it up as a business, realistically. Because at the minute, I'm at the point where I'm doing okay. I've got what I need. If things carry on, then I'm going to have to set it up as a business. There's no two ways about it. A lot of it depends. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's counting my eggs before they hatch. If it all goes Pete Tong and nothing breeds, then I won't be. But I don't think I'm that far away from it. And the thing that I find really interesting is when you look at like things like IHS, the breeder meets, where people have to be breeders or surplus stock, and you have people with 25-30 grand's worth of animals on the table. You're like, that's not really surplus. That's you're breeding to sell then.
But they're not allowed to be a registered business.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, there are lots of benefits to registering as a business. I could claim back all the electricity that I'm paying every month.
All your bugs, all your
yeah, exactly. You can claim it all back. So it's not all bad.
Yeah. I haven't sold nearly as many Gillenai as I wish I had. I've traded quite a few.
Trading's the way to go.
Yeah, so I've just traded. I traded some for some toad heads. I've traded some for some other geckos. I've traded a couple for like effectively a few other bits, and then I've got a few in this clutches which I'm hoping to sell. I've got. Let me do the maths. I think I've got 11 spoken for of the 15 I have, and I haven't even advertised yet. So very grateful for that. But that money is probably going to buy Toad and or Kermit a new Viv. And of course that money is profit because it's money I didn't have, but that is then going back into, shall we call it the business, for the sake of the argument. So that profit then becomes a business expense. So it is, as a self-employed person, obviously I make £1,000, but then spend £1,000 on tools. That's not profit. It's a business expense. So they cancel each other out. So it would be the same with reptiles. But obviously I use the profit to buy stuff. But because I'm not a business, it becomes like you say, Matt, this grey area of like what's right and what's wrong. For example, if I brought a black tree with the money, is that profit? Is that not? I'm using profit for pleasure. It's not, it's not. But then if we're looking at it as a business, the black tree is an asset. And then all of a sudden you get into a grey area because these are animals. So yeah, I don't really know. When I say that I want to be a breeder, I mean, I want to. Jesus, that was a firework. I was going to say we're under attack. I want to start getting to a place in the next 5 years. where 80% of my income is from animals. So obviously I will have to register as a business, but that's where I'm hoping my 5. And on our last Monitor Dreams, that wasn't my goal. And I'm kind of hoping that can become a goal.
So
but then, no, go on.
I was going to say 80% from animals.
Yeah.
From producing animals, from showing animals, from...
I don't know, but let's say producing, which is a lot of animals, because my overheads are disgusting. But let's be honest. I mean, if I cut back a little bit and bred Prasinus, Beccari, and Gilleneye, and was successful, obviously it all comes down to that success, I'd be covering what I earn. But then again, you have 1 year where you have literally no eggs and things don't hatch.
We've had this conversation. Like, you would almost need to be producing or have the ability to produce 2 or 3 times what you actually need.
Yeah.
To almost guarantee that, because like, if I with the pairs I've got, if I maxed everything out, I would be able to quit my job. There's no way I would be quitting my job on the hope that my animals all produce in 1 year, all produce the maximum amount in 1 year, and that I would be able to sell those. I think it's like you would need to have double or triple just to make do, and to make sure that you're not living one clutch at a time almost.
You need a buffer.
Yeah, you need a buffer. And then also, it's again, Michael, it's different for you because the landscape's different, because you've got like one house every 7,000 miles. But down here, we've got 6 reptile shops from where I am within an hour and 10-minute drive. You know, the biggest reptile shop in the south is 45 minutes from me. So breeding stuff like Cresties, Royals, leopard geckos, like, unless you're top of the pyramid scheme, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
So you have to breed a species that everybody wants, that nobody has. Like, I've been very successful with Gilleneye. Other people have obviously had success, but I've been very successful with my group, and I've been lucky enough to move on the majority. But all of a sudden, the demand's going to start going down because we're all producing them. And now I'm not. No, go on.
I was going to say, as a keeper, you're able to go, all right, well, I'll trade this.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'll swap this. Or
I don't need to incubate the eggs.
Or you can go, all right, well, yeah, I can knock off a little bit here, or we can sort out a deal here. Whereas when you're going, I need to pay the electricity at the end of this month. I need to make sure I am getting RRP.
Yeah, and then you start going, okay, well, maybe Gilleneye aren't the species, so then you sell Gilleneye to get another species. Well, I'm not prepared to start doing that, because I want to keep for me, not. Yeah. So this is where, for me, it becomes like, but it's probably not feasible to do this because I want to keep for me, not for what I'm trying to breed for the hobby, because you'll always lose out because you're chasing trends. Like, for example, breeding Ackies is ludicrous. I do it because they stay together and they breed. It is what it is. But, I can feed off the eggs. It's not the end of the world. I've just hatched 10. All 10 are spoken for before they've even hatched. But the money that they are going for, I technically will be running at a loss time by I kept the adults and fed the babies. So as a business, it's like, ugh. So you've almost got to be into the big boy stuff that everybody wants. You start going into the tree monitors, but then, what was it, Matt? A 6 or 7 month spell that you had with no eggs?
How long would it have been? Probably longer than that. So,
well, January, wasn't it? That week, so it would have been January through to now.
Yeah, I still haven't had, and I won't have babies for 5 months at best, 6 months.
Yeah, and you haven't had any for a while. So
no,
if you were relying on the Prasinus for money,
I'd be stuffed.
Yeah, So that's
I think the
where
problem as well is if you're a business, you have to, like, a lot of animals that people get sold, whatever they are, be it tree monitors or whatever, by the time people jump on the bandwagon to think they're going to make money, and they get sold this idea that you're going to make lots of money, or it's like the shipment that's come in now. People are being sort of basically think, oh, I'll buy a tree monitor, and they'll pay themselves back with one clutch. But often by the time you get to that point where they're readily available, if you're buying babies, that ship sailed a lot of the time. It's like I don't really like talking about royals, but by the time breeders let out their morphs, by the time it gets down to the bottom men, everyone's got it anyway. So there's no money to be made.
Mm. Yeah, you can't chase trends, because, like, for example, let's just say I sold up my Ackies, because currently Ackies aren't really worth much. Everyone has the same mindset. In 3 years' time, Ackies are going to be worth what they were, like 150, 200 £200. And then everyone starts jumping back on the bandwagon. But
it's like bearded dragons.
Yeah, everyone bred them. Everyone stopped breeding them, and then they disappeared, and shops were going crazy trying. So if you stick with what you're trying to do because you love it, like for me, again, my Ackie pair are going nowhere. And in the long run, it comes good if you're looking at it from that sense. But yeah, it is a hard one, because I'm trying to figure out, like, a way to make it a little bit more. But then I also quite enjoy the fact that all of my hobby money, so all of this Gill and I money, all of the Gill and I trades, just go straight back into my hobby. And then obviously the 9 to 5 pays the bills, pays the rent. But I think we all get to the point where we just would love to work with animals. And then that's where it comes into that grey area of, are we exploiting them? Are we not exploiting them? Profit, breeder, ooh, boo-hoo, bad words, all that kind of stuff. Just checking the chat, see if this is happening with Royals at the moment.
I think it would probably be longer than that.
I think in 5 years.
It worries me the amount of Royals that I think will suddenly disappear with the current climate.
Yeah, I mean, someone needs to start breeding them for monitor food, to be honest. I think they'll do better, if I'm honest. Find a humane way to euthanize them, and then just.
It's like I remember looking at. I had a quick look at Morph Market and searched the number of Royals that are currently for sale in the UK, and it's some like astronomical number.
I think it's. I think the Beardies is quite a good example, and quite an extreme example of that, where they go for pennies. Every rescue's flooded. They go for pennies. I remember when I got back into this 6 years ago now, and I had a spare Viv that was an old Beardy Viv. I wanted to get another Beardy, and I couldn't find one for love nor money at all anywhere. I messaged, and obviously I'm up in the sticks, so a bit more different. But like, there was none in the local rescue centre. There was none for sale on any of the pre-loves or gum trees or anything. And then I even looked at Pets at Home, and there's like, no, we've got a waiting list. Like a big waiting list. Yeah, because we can't get the demand in. You're just like, well, I kept Beardies 5 years ago. Like they were everywhere. Nah. And then nobody breeds them. People see the demand. All of a sudden, everybody's breeding them. You almost need to have the species before it gets popular.
Yeah, you need to keep them. I like Brian Whitehead on my podcast, when High Does It Hurts, when he said he got Kimberleys for the sake of getting Kimberleys, and then he hit the market at the right time. He just got them because he wanted them, and then obviously he got the eggs, and they produced, and he hit the odds, and he got money because of just getting them for the sake of getting them.
Yeah. Like I've seen a few people that have chased trends, like stuff like false chameleons a couple of years ago, green emerald green tree skinks, Anolis. Yeah, there's a few trends that have been like, you see them, and to be fair, normally it's bigger influencers that get a certain animal, they show it off, they say how amazing it is, everybody wants it.
Coatheads.
People, it's actually the Stenodactylus.
Yeah, yeah.
Every Canadian YouTuber is raving about Stenodactylus.
Yeah.
You almost need to have them before they get popular. Like you say with your Akis, sometimes they'll be worth 50 quid, sometimes they're worth 200 quid. And it just depends on the market at that time.
So I'm going to go to Matt first because me and Matt share an opinion, and I think Michael's will be different. So, do you think if you packed in your job, bred animals for sole income, you would lose love? Now, I know, saying that, Michael might be the same, but we'll get to you, Michael. I know how stressed you and I get just waiting for eggs, let alone incubating them, dealing with them. So, with that in mind, how would you answer the question?
So I apologise if you can hear it. The washing machine's just started going. Typically bad timing.
No, you're good, mate. It's fine.
I'd split them. So I don't think I would. But what I would have to do is split my collection. I'm going to mute me because it's getting really loud. 2 seconds.
Okay, that's fine. We'll go to Michael first. Michael.
I've been there. I worked. Before I got into reptiles, I was a fish keeper. I worked in an aquarium shop. I worked not full time. I still had my full time job. I worked part time in a fish shop because I enjoyed it. I then had to go home and water change and look after 15 fish tanks. And I have to say, sometimes the last thing you wanted to do was look at fish. Yeah. But then, on the days that it's hard. I think I'm probably in a position where I'd be able to sustain my income more breeding animals in our current market if I kept the right animals. But I don't know, because I know what happened with the fish. I still kept a lot of fish, but then there were some days that I came home and I was like, oh my God, I can't be bothered with this. And then other days that I was there and I was like, I can't believe this is my job. I can't believe I get to work with these animals. And then when the fun things happen, like I got to look at lists and I got to do orders and I got to do deliveries of new fish and stuff, and I got almost first pick of the animals that came in. It was great.
Is that Odin? Is that what?
No, that's Albus. Odin's sleeping somewhere.
It's literally just like
he's going to knock over my phone. He's huge. So I think sometimes it can really boost your hobby when it's also your job, because there's things that you get to do. Right? No, you're not actually knocking it over. There's things that you get to do that others don't get to do, and it's more enjoyable. But then sometimes when it's the hard parts, it's more draining.
Yeah.
So if I kept a rack full of royals and I had to poo pick continuously, then no, I don't think I would enjoy it as much. Or like the days, like nobody enjoys. Like I've got leeches. I have to scrape shit off of the glass with.
That's one thing I don't regret.
Yeah, and it's not fun. And I could imagine if I had the amount of leeches you had, Matt, even just a small amount more than I currently do.
Yeah, geckos are horrible, disgusting little animals.
I'd spend 2 hours in a weekend just scraping shit from glass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, back to you, Matt. The whole point of becoming like a breeder full time, do you think you would lose your love?
I think it would definitely stress me out. Like, I think the idea that then suddenly you're reliant on the animal, because like now, don't get me wrong, it's stressful when the female may or may not lay, but if she turns around and lays them, they're all duds or whatever, or she scatters them or whatever, yes, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. But if you're relying that as your sole source of income, suddenly there's a lot more pressure on it happening. And then I think it does take the enjoyment away from that particular animal, because you're just constantly stressing about, it needs to produce eggs. I need to make sure this is right. Or if this isn't right, I need to do this. So I think I would have to split my collection completely, like as in 2 separate rooms, and have my hobby collection, which is where it's not related to the business. These are just the animals that I keep for joy and for my pleasure, and then have the ones which were part of the business, which were there to make money. But it's difficult, isn't it? I think it would be tough.
There's a study, I forget what I listened to on a podcast. But basically, they got a group of people to play a game, like their favorite game, whatever. So let's just say Call of Duty for the story. They're playing Call of Duty, and like they rated people's experience, and majority of people said, "Oh yeah, it was like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10." And then they then paid them to try and have a good game of Call of Duty, and because there was almost this pressure now that you have to have a good game, they just didn't enjoy it. And I found it with YouTube, because Instagram, I'm like, yeah, I'll have a bit of fun with it, post bits and bobs. It's YouTube because there's a little bit of money behind it, like £1.50 a video. I know, ballsy. But because I know, boy, I know. All right, roll out the red carpets.
Yeah, but you've lost that 150 already.
Yes, this. Well, most of my podcasts get limited, but anyway, because there's a little bit of money behind it, and it's only a little bit of money behind it. My brain's like, oh my god, it's a business. I have to treat it like. And I asked a highly respected reptile keeper person for a job recently. I was like, hey, any jobs going? And this person said to me, he was like, well, I can look and I can try and find one. There's nothing this year, but I can try and look for one next year. But I would hate for you to come and work in the industry, because I've seen it time and time again. So many, sorry if anyone had my tummy rumble then. Time and time again, so many keepers get into the hobby, then end up working in the hobby, lose their passion for the hobby, and then just don't keep anymore. And he was like, so my advice to you was find a job that's just a job and enjoy your hobby, because the second you start putting a bit of money behind it, or like Michael said, you go do reptiles all day. Like even today, like me and Fee have been just riding around today and like visiting families and bits and bobs. Like I got in at 6. I know I had about an hour and a half, and I looked at all my water bottles and I was like, oh, like I can't be fucked. But because I didn't do them yesterday, I had to do them today. So I'm running around with a hose, I'm cleaning, and none of it was enjoyable. And if I had a day of doing that at work and then came home to it today, it wouldn't have got done. And I'll just do it tomorrow. And you keep pushing it back. So yeah, I think the second you start getting money, I think it takes away, because it's almost like a nice little, oh wow, the Gillen Knife sold. Oh wow, yeah, a bit of pocket money. Oh, you know, because there's no pressure to it. If they sell, they sell. If they don't, they don't. Whereas if you're reliant on it, it's like, oh god, like come on, hatch, come on, lay, and you almost see them as an object rather than the animals that they are. Michael, did you just elbow your cat?
No, the cat's on the table, lying down, wanting his belly scratched.
Michael's playing Tekken and just pushing all the buttons. But yeah, anyway, that was a transition. Plus super chats, come on, money bags. Oh god.
No, please don't.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about money because I'm honest about everything else. I make roughly 60 to 70 pound a month on YouTube. I know, guys. Come on, I'm big time. So yeah, sounded like a cow. But yeah, so on that transition, let's go to Matt, because I'm going to go into Michael's Timor endeavors. Realistically, Matt, in the next year, where do you see your collection? Where do you see your collection being?
So next week I'll have the Cordos. No,
obviously.
So I'm hoping, whether I think the biggest thing will be dropping and moving some animals on. Realistically, I want to mainly have probably just tree monitors, the Mitchellii, and that will probably be it. Because I need to make room for potentially some of the animals being big enough to breed. And although I can split them relatively easy at the moment, it would be nice to have that space just to be able to do it a bit more freely rather than having to reduce the size of some of the Vivs. Do I see myself getting anything else realistically? I mean, I'm never going to say never. My sensible head being on, no, I'm not getting anything else other than these 2 yellows that hopefully will come towards early next month. Sorry, early next year. But I can't buy any more stuff. I really shouldn't. But I've said that before, and look where I am.
So, on that quickly, then, just keeping the tree monitors.
So the monkey tail will go.
Do you see yourself with a pair of everything, a trio of everything, like four yellows and only one blue? Like, have you got in your head kind of where you want to be?
So there are a few animals that definitely are not leaving, regardless of whatever the outcome is. So they would be my big blue tree monitor.
Yeah.
Then Tongue, my black male black tree monitor. Is there anyone else that wouldn't leave? Probably they're the two main ones. Realistically, I think I will probably keep a pair of most things.
Yeah.
But again, that depends on, because if certain animals leave, then I will have more space and I will be able to keep a pair of each and still have 2 or 3 vivs empty in case I need to split them. Do I see myself keeping a pair of everything? The yellows, realistically, I'm never going to be able to keep 4, if I'm being honest. That's just so I can get some unrelated blood. I think I probably will end up keeping. I say that I won't, but the cat's just scratched me.
Yeah, same. I'm the only one here without a cat.
Quickly, Fee, do something. Send the guinea pigs up.
She's nowhere to be seen.
I think realistically I will. As much as I say, I'll slim down, I think I probably will still keep pairs, providing I have the space to do it, which at the moment I don't with the monkey tails and the kings, but I think if they potentially go, then I would have the space. But then my head goes round in circles and I think, well, why am I bothering to keep pairs if I'm not really that bothered about breeding? Why don't I just keep a single animal? And then it just keeps doing a full circle.
When the eggs in my incubator hatch and I offer you one for free, you're going to go, oh, you've ruined everything, Paul.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, that is a massive spanner.
Yeah. It might not happen, but we'll see. We'll see. Even if you just raise it for me for a little bit and then give it back. But yeah, we'll see. Right, Gordish Questies. I'm hoping it's this video. If it's not this video, then I'm going to delete it real fast. But I'm sending you a video of Killer Night. And show it to Reese if you're in his person, and then he'll understand. Anyway, so Michael, you've spent the last 7 years plotting a family tree for your future plans of your hobby.
Surprised it's not laminated by now.
No, it's got
some crosses through it at the minute. It's a rough draft. So, would you like to? I mean, I respect the hustle. I would never do it, but I know you love it. And to be fair, it's amazing that you are doing it. And then I guess this could kind of bring us wrapping up towards the end, because we're only going to go for like a maximum of 2 hours, guys, and we're just over the hour mark. But this could kind of bring us up into what we've been talking about in the Varanus chat with the whole sort of, I don't know.
Do you want to talk about my plans first?
That's what I'm saying. We'll talk on your plans and then we'll get into kind of that, because you're proving pedigree. Have that.
Mongrel.
Okay, you're good. You're good to go. The floor is yours.
So, my plans for the next however long, it's really waiting. I think next year, realistically, I probably won't find a female Maruki. That's a pipe dream. It's something that I would need a lot of things to fall into place to be able to get. At the moment, I'm enjoying Wogs. I'm enjoying just interacting with him and learning the species and learning him as an individual. It does pain me that the chances of finding him the ideal partner probably won't happen, and that I may need to look for alternatives for that. But next year for me is going to be really busy. I've got a lot of family stuff on. I've got a lot of plans. I want to do quite a bit of traveling. I want to go to quite a few shows. For me, I'm quite far away, so it involves extra days off work. It involves hotel rooms and more petrol and plane tickets and everything else. So I want to really enjoy my year. So the idea of buying really expensive animals probably isn't happening. There's talks and there's whispers and there's conversations about animals that may or may not come in or may not happen, and I would like to be part of that as well. So I'm keeping options open, but realistically, I might try and get another baby Leachianus to risk, hope to get a female for my male, and then just see what. Well, it's that like I want a new Anna. My mate, like there's enough of them out there that it feels stupid or silly to go for a cheap female just because it's cheap. I'd rather wait it out. I think that's the same with the Maruki, although there's a lot less out there.
A friend of ours just got Nuana pair. Do you know this? I'm not going to say it in case he doesn't want to know. The friend of ours who is buying loads of stuff at the minute, random animals, he's just got a pair of Nuana. I don't know if they're adults or what, but you might be able to get babies off him relatively soon if they're successful.
I've got my friend. Your mate, yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting it out when he gets a clutch. But then who says that that's going to be? Because I'm not going to be able to afford. I say it depends on how my year goes, but I'm not going to be able to.
What locality?
I think the problem with lychee breeders is they are more locale specific than probably a lot of other people.
That's why Michael wants.
And that actually makes a huge difference. Yeah,
he's like, hold my family tree.
But then I've got a lot going on next year. In my hobby, I'll have. I'm hoping. My pink tongues will probably go again. They're very hard to stop. I would hope my frill dragons, fingers crossed, this year was a bit of a dud year, but hopefully my frill dragons. I've got Aki eggs cooking still. So yeah, they've not hatched.
What day are they on now?
It must be like 450, aren't they?
At least. I'm going to hatch my egg before they hatch.
But they're still
his babies before they hatch.
They're still pearly white, and they're still,
Don't cut, never cut.
No. So I'll wait it out. If they go moldy, they go moldy.
No, they'll hatch, mate. They'll hatch if they haven't started. So basically, an Aki egg will start to dent and go green really quick if it's dead in the egg. So it'll dent, and within like a day of denting, it goes green.
Although I think I have incubated them on the cooler end.
I was going to say I've heard people hatch up to nearly 150 for Akis.
Yeah, the most I've heard is like 142. So
yeah, like I think it was set at 28.5, but inside it's probably a little bit cooler. So
yeah, don't worry, they'll hatch as long as the eggs are still good. If they're not green, they'll hatch.
That's quite exciting. I'll have some baby Akis to play with for a little bit. Hopefully my Timors go, and then I'll hopefully have an idea next year for my Kimberleys as to what my two young ones are. So that might be something that I can push towards, or I can kind of look out for. If I get a pair, then great. I'll maybe look to source an unrelated male, although mine are somewhat unrelated-ish, kind of, not really, but they're not full siblings. And then if I get two females, I can look for a male. If I get two males, then I'm fucked anyway. So we'll see. But I've got quite a few bits going on, quite a bit of exciting stuff, and hopefully, like we say, like lizard money, spend lizard money on lizards. So if I get a good year, then you never know. But
so then on your endeavors,
and
your plans, I assume, obviously, I could say obviously, but the spear point at the minute is the Timorensis project, and I don't mind talking about it, why it's the project.
Yeah.
And so, hello, Nameless. Thanks for tuning in. And I may or may not be getting some tokens, but that's not what we're about to talk about. But anyway.
So at the moment, I have a trio of Timorensis, a trio of Timor monitors, one male, two females. I bought them under the perception or the understanding that the male was unrelated from both the females, or at least as much as Odactria can be, through more recent investigation, it looks like they are just clutch mates rather than different females. But I've got a 1.1, so a pair from the same person, then I've got a female that's unrelated. Now, anybody who knows Timor monitors knows that a few years ago they were Affenberg, the peacock monitor, was also described. They were the same thing. Obviously, they aren't the same thing. There was a lot of hybrids. There was a lot of crossing, and then they got split. So the idea of breeding Timor monitors in the UK with any animals around the 2019 to 2021 age animals is a bit questionable because of where they're from. So I have spent a very long time messaging a lot of people, and still have more people to message, to try and source and find as much information about my animals as possible so that I can feel comfortable breeding them and feel comfortable selling any babies in the future that are, to my knowledge and to my understanding and to my best of my abilities, not hybrids and not related as much as can be. So I've been able to track lines going from wild caught animals. I've managed to interlock some pairs from other ones. It's got people's names on it, so it's not, but I've set up an entire family tree to try and work out where mine are related, how mine would cross with each other, and then what animals are in the UK currently, because we've not had a wild caught shipment of Timor monitors in a long time, or from my understanding, there's not been. Who's got what pairs and who's got what animals that aren't currently related, so that I could look at getting new blood, because I think they're a fantastic species. They're a species that gets this kind of mutt/mongrel label because of previous breeders, and it's something that I'd like to work towards producing quality animals. They're a good size. They're a stunning animal. They can be a good captive if kept correctly.
Social. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and they're a good alternative. If somebody doesn't want an Aki, but if somebody doesn't want something ridiculously hot like a Kimberley or something from Australia, but they don't want an Aki, and then they don't want a tree monitor, or they don't want to go as big as something in the Indicus, they fit a niche. They do fit that kind of need and that want. So I think Timor monitors are fantastic. Peacocks as well. I think peacock monitors are stunning. But I've managed to trade this year quite a bit of my offspring that I've produced to get a trio, and that's what I'm going to work towards, and just slowly build it up. And maybe one day I can breed these guys and get something even higher up the food chain, like a female green tree.
Trade it until we make it.
Pretty much. And I've done that for a good few years now. Some of my, like, a third of my collection I've built from trading, from breeding just pink tongues at the moment. I've had 3 successful years breeding pink tongues. Each year I've managed to trade the babies for something else that's now in my collection and slowly build it up that way. So
on that, exclusive, everybody. Oh, wow, Gary. Thank you very much for the super chat. He just saved me there. I'm thinking of building an outside open-air zoo type enclosure for a group of Akis. What are your thoughts? Congratulations again to Fee and you. I get to be the flower boy. Okay. Don't worry. Everybody is invited when we eventually do elope. What I was going to say. Thank you very much for the super chat, Gary. And I completely lost my train of thought. Okay. I don't know how hot your climate is, Gary, but I think if you have a hot enough climate, even for a month of the year, I think it's a great idea to have outdoor enclosures for any animal, because you cannot beat natural UVB. So let's get a little bit more into what the WhatsApp chat has been lately on the Varanus. And we'll start with Matt. What's your thoughts, feelings, emotions around Studbooks, a Varanus society, that kind of topics that's been going on in the chat? Your answer could literally just be, think it's great, and that's it. But just what are your thoughts and feelings on it?
So I think it is a good idea if it's done correctly. I think my only slight concern with it is you have to get a lot of people on board, and it depends how you want to do it, because there's different ways of doing it. And you are going to get some reluctance from people to actually sign up to it if they say, I don't know, they have to say how many animals they're producing. It's a really long topic, and you can go both ways. I don't know. I haven't really got a strong feeling either way, to be honest. I think if it was set up, then I would be all for it and would definitely get involved. But I think it is. I don't think people quite realise either how much work it actually is. That's going to need to go into it. It's not a quick and simple thing. I'm going to sneeze again.
He's gone. Back to Michael. Michael, this is right up your street. You used to do stuff like this. So, what's your thoughts, feelings, emotions on it?
I think it really depends on how you do it. I think a lot of people hear stud book, they think Zoological Society stud books, where there is a keeper of the records, and that person is individually responsible for every animal of that species within the European collections. I.e., if I was the stud book keeper for Prasinus, I could go, right, Matt, you need to, or right, Paul, you need to go move Kermit, you need to go shove him in Matt's house, because that's what's best for the species. And because I don't own the rights, but you don't own the animal, I control where they go. That doesn't work. These are people's pets. These are people's animals. These are things that people have spent money on. If I was to send up, and like you could get to that point, like if there was a collection of animals. But anyway, I think if you had people that were agreeing to share information, to share knowledge, to share history, and to share lineage of other animals, I think that could only benefit. And if there is somebody individually for each species that correlates this information, then it's a great idea. You get a lot in the dog world. You get people like you could, if I want to get a Gordon Setter, for example, I could go to the Gordon Setter Scottish Club. I can't remember what it's called. I don't have a Gordon Setter, but I could go to them. I could ask their keeper of records for a list of the breeders that are registered, that they've got registered. From that, that keeper would know, that the keeper of records would know, or bookkeeper would know who's got what clutches, or who's got what litters. So they could go, right, yeah, these people are all in your area that breed. These are the people that have got clutches or litters that are registered that are going to hatch, for example. It's a long-winded way, but you could then go, right, well, I'm looking at getting a pair. What's my best bet? Right, well, your best bet is there's currently 4 people breeding that species. Or like if I turned around to somebody and went, I want to get a mangrove monitor, where's best to look? Right, well, if you want a pair of mangrove monitors, there's 2 people breeding them, so your best bet is to get one of each. And I think something like that, something where people know more information and share information, can only help. It's trying to gather that information for the last 20, 30 years is the difficult point, especially with stuff like Odatria. But we need to start somewhere. And if we started now, then in 5, 10, 15 years' time, paperwork would be a lot better, especially now we've left the EU. The idea of getting paperwork for half of these animals is ridiculous, and it's a challenge because nobody's kept any records because it's just been so loose for so long. I would then also be open to the idea of possibly donating some animals. For example, if there was, I wouldn't, if I, like people that have had clutches, if I had a clutch of Timor monitors, I sold half of them and then the other half I donated to the society for whatever organization you are working alongside. And I just go, right, these animals are up for offer. Where's best, who's looking, that kind of thing. And it's being grown-ups, it's being adult, it's not...
You could do that though, and you could sell those animals for cheaper, and then the money goes to the society. Yeah,
it's working together as individuals, but as a group as well. But there is a stud book program, and I remember I listened to somebody on Animals at Home talk about it a long time ago.
Fraser spoke about the toad heads.
Yeah. Can't remember. there was an idea in Europe basically about pulling together private keepers because there's so much more resources
I know
involved.
what you mean. Yeah.
And it was really interesting. But when you look into it, it's all tortoises and it's all other, like, it's not at the level of hobby breeders per yet. But it was this idea as well that as a hobbyist, you can change more in your care to better suit or to try new things. If I worked in a zoo, for example, I had my current collection, I worked in a zoo, I was like, this basque, like, I'm not seeing my tree monitor basque. Right, I don't think this is a good, I'm using a deep heat projector. I don't think this is working. I want to change it to a halogen. I would need to fill in paperwork. I would need to request permission. I would need to do all these things before I even made that simple change. Whereas as a hobbyist, I could go, that's not working, let's swap it out. So there's things that hobbyists can do. There's maybe as a hobby, things can be done better or done quicker or on a whim or more knowledgeable than even some zoo centers or some public collections. And I think that's where we need to kind of focus in on the animals that need it. And that's where I think with this import that came in, if it was better regulated, if there was a better understanding, a better relationship between the people that are bringing the animals in and the people that are working seriously with these animals, it could be,
Just me, an example, like, let's just, because it's relevant in here. Paul, I know you need a female sarong. They've just come in. This is the price. Before I offer it anywhere else, do you want it? That kind of, and obviously it won't just be me on the list. There'll be 7 people that are needing male or female sarong. I think another thing that, like you say, on the whole, because I'm quite an open person on social media anyway, but like, okay, I need to learn how to care for mangrove monitors. Oh, okay, I'll speak to Paul. But then you could go to the society and there could be segues to a person. I've also told the person that's trying to do it that I'll help as much as I can. Like, I could have individual keepers on, just record 10-minute videos with just basic care. Like, I could have you on, Matt, and be like, right, just give me a rundown. I could have myself on. I could have a few other Prasinus keepers on, and then there'll be 6 videos of the same questions from 6 keepers that you can just go straight to, you can watch, and you go, right, okay, and this is all like a hub of care, and all of these people are in the society and are society approved and all that other rubbish that would come with it. Hello, Robert. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, I think, like Matt said, there's a lot to be done. I would be up for really giving it a go. I have no idea where to start. I can do the social media, but I have no idea where to start. But I think it would be a great thing. And I think to look to import stuff like Pilbara, Scalaris, Similis, bloody Rosenberg, I was saying about earlier. If we had a society with like credibility, it's not just going to the Joneses. Like, not that it would become any easier, but it just looks like a more professional front for import and export, rather than just we're bringing lizards in to keep lizards.
And rather than who's got the biggest wallet, who's going to pay the most.
Yeah, not me.
Yes. The key question is, do you ever think you'd get importers on board?
No.
but then money talks. So you'll donate your Timors, I can donate Gil and I, like Matt, you donate a Prasinus, and everybody chips in, and then this pot accumulates. But the problem is with this, it can't be greedy. So hypothetically, £10,000 in the pot. Everyone can't go, well, I want Spinulosus, well, I want a Dorianus, well, I want a Rosenbergi, well, I want a Uinoi, well, I want Bohemii. Like, that doesn't work like that. You have to have a list, almost like draw from a hat, and you have to, or what's most important for the hobby. For example, there is only one bloodline of X species here. Let's bring in a new bloodline of this species. We don't need more, i.e. Prasinus. So, yeah, there's a lot of ins and outs, but also just having like an AHH, but with just monitor keepers would be pretty fucking cool. Like, obviously other people are welcome, but like having that, I don't know.
The British cichlid No, but so like I was going to say the British Cichlid Association, it's a fish group. They have something similar, like where they have a meetup, and it's based around. Obviously, it's all fish, but it's based around a certain group.
Yeah. I think it can take legs. I know the person trying to start it has got a lot on in the next year, so I don't know logistically how that works, but I don't think it can't be done by one man. You know,
no,
you need
it's
a lot of people.
Yeah. But again, I'm happy to help, but I wouldn't have a clue on the whole Studbook side. And like you said, Michael, and I know me and Matt have spoken about before. Oh, we need a male. Let's use this as an example. We need a female Solomon Island Indicus. Okay, go through the list. Okay, Paul's the only person with one. Mango. No, you're not taking Melissa like in a part of like the Studbooks. So that it would have to be based off offspring, and then also people willing to say what they've bred, how they've bred it, where they had it, and then the idea of like your family tree in the society, you'd be able to say, look, these are pedigree Timors.
Well, I think that's the other thing, is that there's a lot of people that, and like lineage seems to be really important in some areas of reptile keeping and just completely null and void in others. I know crested gecko keepers that have got parental lineage for 10 generations long for their lines of crested geckos. Whereas in varanids, it seems to be just, they're two Akis, they go together.
Yeah, they do.
So it's that idea of being able to kind of prove your worth, and obviously you can only prove what you can prove. You can only have what information's out there. You can't be 100% guaranteed without like bloody legal paperwork that states this has been imported from here and this is what it is, and like it's all hearsay. But it's the more, what's the word? The more evidence you've got, then
if you started now in 10 years' time, which isn't a long period of time, even in 5 years' time, because that would be 2 generations of said species, maybe even 3, maybe even 5, depending on the keeper. But there's this whole ever many generations. For example, your Timors breed next year. You raise those babies up for 2 years. You breed them to someone else's babies, and then they breed again in 2 years. So then all of a sudden you're an F3 of your already knowing the grandparents. So all of a sudden you've got F4, F5 proof. And that's only taken 5 years. And when you look at 5 years, you go, fucking hell. And then because you've started today, you've got all that paperwork, you've got all that heritage. So, yeah.
But like, take Pilbara, for example, right? If we just, because either Pilbara are in the country and they're underground, in which case they're gone, they're lost. Like if they're that underground, then the people that currently own them do not want to be part of. They do not want to be known. Fair enough, your own hobby, your own life, do what you want.
Yeah.
And the ones that are public, the individuals are shockingly bad. So with Pilbara, for example, you almost need to start fresh. So you need to write off everything that's in the UK. You need to import a good group from the EU. You need to import a good group from the Americas. If people did that and then just threw them out there, sold them to the highest bidder, they would all just go underground again.
Yeah. You got to do it in-house for like 5 to 10 years.
And then you would need to be open about it. You would need to keep records. You would need to go, right, we've brought 5 in from France, I don't know, and we've brought in 5 from America. Right, we've crossed these ones or these ones. There was 3 lines from here, there was 2 lines from there, and have a game plan, have an understanding of the animals, have an understanding of where they're going to go and what your end goal is. And you obviously, it needs money, it needs space, it needs people that are dedicated to the species. But there is enough people that are out there that want to do it, and it's just bringing those people together. I think that's the thing. It's a conversation. The conversations that are on the WhatsApp groups recently about being more open and honest about what's going on and what's happening and what's doing, then it's you almost just need to make the first steps. I think's the
when we say US, I think we're mainly naming just Canada. But yeah, I agree. And again, like you say, I think the main point is money. It takes a lot of money. And that's what it comes down to. Someone's got really, 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 really want to do it, because you could just import 3 from one place, hope you end up with a pair, breed, and then just sell. But then that doesn't achieve anything, and you need to hold back the best, hold back for long enough to get your sexes, and hold back the nicest, the best shape, the most colourful, and then just keep pushing that kind of heritage of the monitor. But yeah, we're going to start wrapping up relatively soon. Is there anything else you want to touch on, or on that subject, Matt, or anything else you would like to touch on?
I think the key thing is just someone just needs to start it. You're always going to get resistance. There are always going to be people that are against it. I think once you get it going and you get enough people on board, then hopefully it just should get the whole thing started. Because my worry is that if no one ever starts it, it will never happen, and it will need a few people. No single person is going to be able to do it off their own back. And I get there are people that are keen to do it, but it is, part of me wonders, do you just start with a couple of species that are relatively straightforward to do, get the ball rolling, start with that, and then grow? Because I think if you try and do it for the whole of the Varanus, that is a huge number of animals.
I think as well, though, you need a blueprint. You need a guideline. Things like your Mitchellii are going to be a lot easier to do than Akis. For example, do you know what I mean? Like,
So even like Indicus, they've never been captive bred. It's very easy to go, right, well, that's wild, that's wild, that's wild, that's wild. Yeah, it's easy. So some species like that, Akis, are like, well, God knows what you came.
It's a free for all.
Yeah. And then there's things you like your Gillenai or your Kimberleys, where there's a few known lines, and it's going, right, we've got in the UK 2, 3, 4, whatever many lines, or that really establish or really come from certain individuals or certain, and that's why, right, well, let's get new blood in. But yeah, I think there needs to be a blueprint. If people are just doing it off their own back, but then not having an understanding or not having the not following the same guidelines, then all of a sudden you've just got an absolute mess.
Yeah, I would like to do Gillenite. I have 3 bloodlines here. I want to add more because I want to create at least a 2.4 at least, so then I know and have them all completely unrelated. So that means I need 6 blood types. I've already got 3, so I need to find 3 more, but I think there's only like 1 more in the UK that possibly is untapped to mine. So ideally I need to find the male from that, and then I can create 1.1 completely unrelated. Then I'll have to import, and I will look to do that, because no matter what sex I get, I can work it into my project. And then again, I raise all my babies up separately from each individual female, and it means I have to have 4 baby Gillenai setups. But at least I know, right, that is from that female, that is from that female, and that is from that female. Some people just throw them all together, because I had, like I say, literally 3 clutches hatch within a day of each other. I was like, that's 3 setups.
So then, if somebody came to you and went, "Hi, I've currently got a Gillenai. They're, from my understanding, they're from X.
Yeah.
Do you have?" And you could go, "Yes, I've got from Y and Z."
Yeah. And that's the whole point. But then it's people aren't willing to give it the space, because that's 4 UVBs, that's 4 LEDs, that's 4 halogens, when I could run just 1, like 1 LED, 1 UVB, 1 halogen, and just throw all 15 in a, I don't know.
Then I think this is where a group or a society or whatever you want to call it.
If you could do it into months, people, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where, like, having friends or having relationships within the hobby where you can work together with projects, not with Matt, apparently.
You can dig all you like, Michael. You're just making it worse.
Where you can.
This is for Kermit. I'm like, Matt, I don't need it. This is for
I'm sending
Kermit.
it to Daily anyway.
Anyway, as we were.
And I think that's like finding people who are like-minded, finding people who share the same passions and understand the importance, but then also just enjoy the hobby as well.
Yeah, it's hard balance, isn't it?
But like what we've spoke about with certain species that we both keep that we want to work together alongside.
I think it means us. The 3.0.
I think he means my trio of Prasinus.
Nah. What trio? I thought that was a 2.2.
2.2. Especially with the new one. But anyway. Yeah. Oh, BH, you've just ruined it. He is never.
Oh, no.
Never a part of Monitor Dreams. Never. And do you know
He's not even a part of Tree Monitor Dreams.
Where the fuck
or Tree Monitor Gang.
Where the fuck is he? Anyway, we'll keep interrupting Michael. Michael, carry on. Sorry. I think it's gone. It's all gone to shit. It was going so well.
Like, I really like what we're doing with said species.
Yeah, I don't mind using.
You glossed over it and changed the subject. So, but
it's good. I forgot. I'll be honest, my brain. But anyway,
I really like what we're doing with the Timors. I really like the conversations a few of us in different group chats are having about new species. I've spoken to people about Kimberleys. I've spoken to people about other species as well. That it's interesting. It's enjoyable. It's not green trees, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still contemplating. I'm going to leave it on these final words. I'm still contemplating. That would make the perfect podcast game. No, Riddler's not joining. Right? I'm saying say again. Sorry.
He'd be at work all the time.
Oh, mate. Honestly, I'm a co-host on the podcast with him, and he's a nightmare. He turns up late to our own show every fucking week. It's just not worth it. And he's not even here. It's not even a long podcast. He's not even here. He's been riding my coattails. Hang on. Wait there, everybody. 2 seconds.
Are these the fluffy things? Oh, no.
Do you mind shutting the door?
He's in my shadow. He's been riding my coattails for way too long, that man. He's had enough of my clout. Anyway, yeah, I'm still undecided if I want to go black trees or if I want to go Hobbyist. There's so many variables coming in.
Why not blues?
Fuck blues. So the green backed ones though. But blues don't do it for me. The Rack Reaper returns. You best believe.
You come over again, I'll convince you to get blacks.
The Rack Reaper returns. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get blacks. Reaper and Raven. I need Reaper and Raven. So I feel like I've got some things in motion over the next few months. I've got some eggs that are due to hatch. If they hatch, they could change my life and ruin my reptile plans. I have some offers on a table that may or may not come into fruition if they do or don't. Can't reveal too much just yet, but the Patreon know. But yeah, so if those things don't really pan out, then I think I will be looking to get a black tree or two, and then we can probably do something, do a black tree project. I want to name the male Tyrone Reese St. Keen. Is he a getaway driver? If you know, my mum, complete caveat, my mum's 4 dogs are all named after things to do with the film Snatch. So yeah, just as a caveat for Tyrone, the getaway driver. Anyway, on that note, Matt, any final regards or any topics?
How are you finding that black tree? Have you picked him up yet?
Am I finding the black tree? I haven't got him yet.
No.
Free.
Ghoulish Questy, the one from Ridgeways. Because I haven't seen him for ages. It was probably 9 months ago, 6 months ago I saw him. And he is a monster.
Yeah, we saw him when we did our round robins. And he is a beast. I bet you he's just shy of like, I bet he's got to be over 3 foot, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's quite as big as my blue tree,
no.
but he's getting there. He's bigger than my black trees by quite a considerable amount.
He's also chunky. Not to like rain on Tyrone's parade, but Tyrone might. Well, Tyrone probably would be a fitting name if we're thinking about the film Snatch. But yeah, make sure you send pictures. I think for me, because I was thinking like I am gonna wrap it up, but I was thinking like, even though I'm like, breeder, this, I was talking to Fee, I was like, what do I enjoy most? And she was like, well, you enjoy the tree monsters the most. So it's like, the black trees just make sense. But stay tuned to Paul's monitors to find out. Michael's died. I don't know what's going on.
Come over again. Come over and have a look at Tongue.
Yeah, I'll try. I don't know when I'm free. You've got to come to mine and play with the baby Gil and I.
And the baby someone else.
Yeah, give me 6 weeks. Oh, hang on.
What's happened to Michael?
I died.
Okay, he died.
I had to swap them.
Just because just like the thought of Riddler died. Anyway, Jobbiensis are cool. I love Toad. Toad's amazing. But they also get massive. I'm also limited on space. I also have Indicus and Reaper and Raven.
It's a big animal, a male.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. You know, I might end up with both because I'm a lunatic and then cry about it on the internet that I've got too many animals. But that's what it is. Well, everybody, this is I'm gonna completely make up a wrap-up question on the top of my head. But this is it. So, Michael, any final regards words before I do a random wrap-up question?
If anybody has any information about Timor monitors in the UK, send them my way.
Or just Timor monitors as a general. If you've got tips and tricks. Tips and
tricks.
Yeah.
I've currently got a pair locking. So currently redoing my nesting and stuff like that. So
and pretty much all of the eggs are mine, everybody. So get in quickly because I'll be taking at least 3. So if you want them, message Michael and make sure you're on his waiting list because I will be taking majority of them, and he wants to hold some too. So message the boy. Link.
And this is my pair of completely unrelated as far as my researches.
There you go. Message Kenneth. He'll sort you out. I know someone who's got a trio. Is it Reese? Please reply now. Is it C&T? Is it a guy called Chris or a guy called Paul or Michael? Because I lost mine and Michael has them. And so let me know if it's a guy called Chris or let me know if it's C&T Exotics. If it's not, message Michael. Matt, any... Yeah, your opinion. Yeah, I said no. I don't know what's going on. Any final... Any final words, C&T? Okay, yeah. We're already on it. Michael's family tree stems way past the UK hobby. Michael's out here tracking
pre-1900s.
Michael literally found the record for the first ever Timor monitor described. He was like, right then.
That was a great
somewhere.
Yeah.
Great dad is a team.
He went so far back that one of his Timors was like wearing a monocle. Pocket watch. Matt, any final words before can I have a free hoodie? I don't know what's going on. You want a free hoodie of mine? Wow. If you want custom merch, let me know. I can do you one at cost. I can't give you a free one. Are you
doing an order? You're gonna berate people into the
Matt? He's laughing to himself. He's being
I was going to say, on the basis that we know Proceedus came in on this import, and I have a feeling that there are probably more that come in than that are currently in shops. If anyone sees any Maruki Proceedus, let either three of us know. Or
Yeah.
any of us. But if it's a female, don't tell Michael.
Maruki Prasinus, send them away. Hang on, what's going on? So I got them from Mark. Yeah, we tracked the guy down that Mark got them from. Our family tree. Wait, Michael's roots run deep. Don't test.
From
this,
my
man.
understanding, one of my females is from that trio.
Yeah, so I ended up meeting the guy just happenstance because he brought some animals off me and we got talking. He's like, "Oh yeah, this trio is this, that, and the other." I was like, "Michael, I've got news for you." And yeah, a Paula hoodie. I have. Let me show the camera. I'm doing this at the minute. Oh God, Matt's gone. He's dead. Matt's dead.
Mention merch.
Look at that! Wow, look how cool that looks. All free on the back. Now we'll trade the hoodie. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Oh, I'm up here now.
Hello. Wow, you've been promoted.
I can look down at Matt.
All right, done. Trade for Dubious. I mean, I'll trade you on Dubious if you want. I generally will. If it's cost for cost, like yeah, unless your Dubious are stupidly expensive, because I have a roach guy that sorts me out. But yeah, I'll trade them on Dubious. Now we'll trade the hoodie for you, Reese. Take Reese, Paul. I don't know what's going on. Take Reese, Paul. He's good at building things. Oh, so I get Reese for a hoodie. As long as Reese comes with the monitors, deal. I will give you 2 hoodies for Reese and the monitors. So I get the Black Tree, the Pilbara, and the Ackies. And Reese. And then Reese, you can sleep in my loft in the podcast studio, which is above nearly out the reptile room. So winning. I mean, I can do anything. I can do phone case. I can do t-shirts. But anyway, if you want merch, then message me. We're gonna do orders, guys. Hang on.
He's changed. He's now Riddler.
This podcast is gonna come to an end.
He's spent too much time around that logo. He's gonna shave his head next.
Hang on. If you want merch, guys, then just send me a message. Andrew Riddler Reptiles, please support me. I need some love.
I didn't believe it. There's too much hair.
Yeah.
Oh God, they throw it in my mouth. Oh, it's all gone to shit. Oh God, I hope you're all enjoying this. Fuck. Okay, so I regret that so badly. I forgot what we're saying, but anyway, wrap up questions. We'll start with Michael because you're up the top now. I can grow a beard. It just has patches. Leave me alone. Okay, in 5 years' time, Michael, 2 questions. Where would you like to see your own hobby? Where would you like to see the reptile hobby? Matt, you got time to think about it because it'd be the same for you.
Sweat.
My own hobby, everything's in pairs. So green trees, lychees, Kimberleys. I've managed to sort them out. One or at least one of Pilbara, Yellow Tree Monitor, or Mitchellii would be 5 years. Yeah, like one of those 3. As the hobby, I'd like to see it's hard. The market's rubbish at the moment. Things are either too cheap or they're too expensive. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground. Nobody can seem to agree. Things are either rock bottom and aren't selling, or everything's too expensive and not selling. So I'd like to see a happy medium. I'd like to see these in 5 year times. I'd like to see all the current Prasinus complex that have been imported this month be thriving and be producing the next generation of captive bred animals.
Good stead. Matt, 5 years for your own hobby, 5 years for the reptile hobby. I'm currently about
to ideal world.
15 Fluke bottle into my bin. In an ideal world,
I would like to complete the Infinity Gauntlet in 5 years. Do I think that will happen realistically? Probably not.
Does that include Bohemi or just
Yeah.
Cordos?
Yeah, so the 6.
Okay.
What else I think as we were saying earlier, slim down hopefully by that point, and I'll mainly be focusing on tree monitors. I might have a few bits and pieces, like I quite like armadillo lizards and sun gazers and that sort of stuff, but I think ideally thin down, mainly tree monitors. In an ideal world, have a pair of everything, but I suspect by that point I probably won't have the room to have a pair of everything, but we'll see. Might win the lottery next week, don't know.
You never know. You could open that.
Are you in the lottery?
You need to buy a ticket first.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Matt's normally in it. You normally do. You normally do it.
I bought 2 tickets the other week, so I was almost guaranteed to win.
He's pushing out. Well,
here, just breed royals. You'll get 25k annually.
Exactly.
At least.
Buy some special worms.
Yeah, keep them in a drawer. I witnessed the rack in person. We haven't even spoke about that.
Feed them once a week.
We don't want to hear it.
I have nothing nice to say, and my mum told me if I've got nothing nice to say, I shouldn't say anything at all.
We all seen your care guides.
He invited me. I'm saying this publicly, but I don't care. He invited me to be a collaborator on that, and I just didn't want it on my page, so I declined.
It was the feed it buggos. I was like, oh, Paul, you were doing so well.
It's because he says buggos, and it fucking pisses me off that he says buggos. I don't know what it is, but it really infuriates me. This probably should be a public conversation, but it really infuriates me when he says buggos. So I added buggos in, and then his fucking.
At least this will check if he watches the podcast.
No, he doesn't, mate. He's a fake fan.
Nah, he won't watch this far. It's fine.
No. Oh wow, Josh, you are in the UK. Message me on Instagram. Who offered you the tokens, Josh? Hit me up right now. Oh shit, the bed. And Keith Horn, Mike. I highly doubt it. I am not going to the ARC show next weekend because it is my son's birthday. And I have him that weekend. And sadly for me, I'm picking my child over reptiles. But yeah, anyway, where do I hobby? 5 years, me. In 5 years' time, I would like Reaper and Raven, my pair of black trees. I would like to have successfully bred Kermit and Kada. I would like to have a boyfriend for Mango. I would like to have hatched Indicus. I would like to be cemented into Project Timor. And we need merch, Michael. We need to make it. I'm going to hit up Chavi. £250 a pair. Now you're right. Keep them, Josh. Thank you for the message. So I'm paying £250 for a pair of toe case. It's probably not a bad price, to be fair, but I'm trading unless they want Gil and I. Anyway, where was that? Yeah, I would also like to be producing toad heads. And I would like, in 5 years, I would like to have some form of facility, whether that be an actual building or whether that would actually be like just something in my garden. And for the hobby, I would like people to, even though I'm a hypocrite because I don't really do it myself, I would like people to streamline more and pick, let's just say 4 or 5 species and really focus on them rather than constantly chasing trends and trying to actually make sure that they do the best for the species that they're passionate about. Because I think if we had a lot of smaller, passionate hobbyist breeders, I think the hobby overall would produce better quality captives. Yeah, I think that's it, really. I still have hair in my mouth, so this has all gone to shit. Someone clip the end of this podcast and send it to Riddler. Tell him that I hate him. And he's never welcome in Monitor Dreams. But yeah, Michael and Matt's Instagram links are in the link below, in the description below. If you've got Maruki, message us. If you've got information on Timor's, message us. If you've got some way to get Matt Bohemi, then probably don't message him. Or Credensis. Probably don't.
Them. Left or right, I'm not fussy.
Matt, do you have a YouTube channel? Also, Matt.
Do I have a YouTube channel?
I don't know. Yeah, you do, but you don't.
You probably do for commenting.
No, you do. You do.
Do you upload on it?
I think I started one, posted 2 videos, and then got bored.
Paul, do you still have your Brazilian black tarantula? Let me divert that question. Michael.
Yeah.
How
She's
do you feel
asleep.
about...
It's okay.
Oh, okay. Michael has my Brazilian black.
Oh, is this a not supposed to know tarantula?
Isopod.
I'm not even spoke about isopods. Not even tapped on isopods.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, everybody. Spoiler right now for everyone listening. We have Micro Exotics, a UK isopod breeder, coming on the podcast. Michael's being a co-host, and I'm just going to sit back like this and do nothing. And Michael's going to absolutely love his life and talk all about isopods. Next week, we have a tokay gecko and a gecko guy on. And then the week after, we have Micro Exotics.
It's going to be good.
So, Matt, there are Bohemii in the EU.
Yeah, there's some captive bred ones, but I don't know if they're F2 yet. There might be. I was talking to a guy at the show about them, and he said it's possible to bring them across. You just have to find the right person. And I suspect have a very, very deep pocket.
Matt, I've got to come and do a tour of your room.
Every time you come, we say we're going to do it, and then we just...
Matt says to me, he's like, film it. And I'm such a terrible YouTuber that I just don't film it. And I end up just having fun nearly getting...
You know who you need to invite over then, Matt?
Mate.
If you want a proper tour of your room, Dan.
Literally today, again, this shouldn't be a public conversation. I really don't care. Today,
Just end the podcast.
It's not that bad. Today, I was talking to Fee about it, and she was like, "Oh, did you get much filming done at Riddler's?" I said, "To be honest, I took 3 clips on the way there, and I didn't film anything else." And Riddler was like, "Oh, send them to me. I'll make a video of it." I said, "Yeah, that's fine." And I was like, "I'm dreading it, him coming to mine, because he's gonna have like a tripod and a ring light, and he's like, Paul, just 2 steps to the left. Let me just get that angle shot." And I'm like, "Oh."
He's going to want that the Instagram reel of Kermit climbing up the arm that everybody's got.
Mate, yeah. I mean, I don't care at all. He's into it. Fair play to him. I'm just not. But maybe one day there'll be a tour. I still need to do my own reptile room tour, let alone. I don't know. I just told him. I didn't ask. Hey, fuck off. Mine's not asleep, Michael. Mine's not asleep. She's been here the whole time. Anyway, on that
She calls you out on your bullshit.
Mate, honestly, I hate her. Fuck knows why I got her a ring. I genuinely hate her. She's the worst person in the world. He says with a big smile on his face. Cringe. Lace monitor of my dream. Mine too. Just not Belle's face. Fuck Belle's face. Also, UNOI is sick. And there's the guy that I've got on next week with the geckos. He's imported some recently. And there's like a baby one in his hand on his Instagram. And it's sick. Right. Anyway, I'm done. Matt, any final words?
Not that I can think of.
Oh, what's that? Fuck Riddler. Okay. Michael, any final words?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Dickhead. Right, everyone. Thanks. Like the video. We're out. Links in description for these boys. I'll catch you all in Monitor Dreams Part 4, whenever it happens. Peace out.